Hello students, today's agenda is to check homework. We'll be multiplying polynomials and you will be able to do 3.2. Today students will be able to multiply polynomials and identify its degree and type of polynomial. In the previous lesson we learned that when we are adding and subtracting polynomials, the variables don't change. The exponents don't change. But remember that when we're doing multiplication, what we do with the exponents is to add them if we have the same base. Okay, so we're going to perform in here double distributive property, and so we're going to multiply the 3x times each one of the three terms on the second polynomial, which is a trinomial degree 2. Then after that, we'll multiply the 8 times each one of the terms in here. That's why I call it double distributive property. You're using distributive property twice. So 3x times 2x squared, that will be 3 times 2 is 6. X times x squared is x to the third power. So in here, we already see that the exponent does change. Okay, 3x times 3x, that will be 3 times 3 is 9. And x times x is x squared. For the next one is 3x times negative 5. So 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. And we only have one x in here, but nothing in here. So you just bring it down. And so for the next one, I'm going to arrange them in a column where they belong. For example, in here, 8 times 2x squared, that's going to be 16x squared. I noticed that this is the cubed, so I'm just going to arrange it right below that. So positive 16x squared. And then 8 times 3x, that will be positive 24x. So arrange it again with x. And 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. And now I'm ready to add my two results. And by arranging them in columns, I just work with the coefficients that are right there. So for this one, we just put 6x cubed. Both are positive, so we add. 16 plus 9 is 25. And just bring down again, because we're adding now, this doesn't change, only when we're multiplying. And so in here, 1 negative, 1 positive, we subtract and leave the greater sign, which is the positive. And 24 minus 15 will give me 9x, and bring down the 40. So this is my result. And as you can see, we have 4 terms, so that's a quadrinomial. And the degree is 3. Again, the degree is the highest exponent in the result. For number 2, now we're multiplying 3 binomials. The binomial refers to 2 terms. Okay, and again, we're going to multiply first the 5x with each term in here, and then the 2 times each term. And then once we have the result, that result will be multiplied with the last term. So 5x times 3x squared, 5 times 3 is 15. X times x squared is x cubed. Remember that when we have variables, we keep the variable and add the exponent. Okay, and 5x times negative 3x, so 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. X times x is x squared. Now we have 2 times 3x squared is 6x squared. And 2 times negative 3x is negative 6x. We're going to add that, and we get 15x cubed. Negative 15 and positive 5. Negative 15 and positive 6 is negative 9. Remember that we subtract and leave the greater sign. And in addition, we just keep the same variable and same exponent. And this one, we just bring it down. Now we're going to multiply that result times the last binomial. So negative 3x plus 1. It will be easier to just do the distributive from this one to this. And so what I'll do is multiply negative 3x times each one of these. And so negative times positive is negative. 3 times 15 is 45. And x times x cubed is x to the 4th power. Negative times negative is positive. 3 times 9 is 27. And x times x squared is x cubed. Negative times negative is positive. 3 times 6 is 18. And x times x is x squared. Now for the next one, you're just going to multiply the 1 times each one of the terms inside of the first parentheses. And so 1 times 15x cubed, I'm going to arrange it again here with the x cubed. 1 times 15x cubed is 15x cubed. 1 times negative 9x squared is negative 9x squared. Remember that when we're multiplying by 1, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the sign. It doesn't change the other parts of the term. And 1 times negative 6 is negative 6x. And we get negative 45x to the 4th. In here, because both are positive, we add and it's going to be positive. And we get 42x to the 3rd power. In here we subtract and we're going to leave the greater sign, so positive. And 18 minus 9 is 9. And just bring this down. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, we'll have a quadrinomial, but this time the degree is 4. Quadrinomial, degree 4. In the next one, we are now multiplying a trinomial times a trinomial. And again, we're going to do the distributive property, but this time we are going to have 3 different distributive properties. And so 6 times 7 is 42. A squared times a squared is a to the 4th power. Positive times negative is negative. 6 times 5 is 30. A squared times a is a cubed. Positive times positive is positive. 6 times 8 is 48. And we only have a square. For the next one, we're now going to use distributive property with 4a. And so positive times positive is positive. And I noticed that I have a and a squared, so that's going to be a cubed. I'm going to arrange it right here. 4 times 7 is 28. And a times a squared is a cubed. Positive times negative is negative. 4 times 5 is 20. And a times a is a square. Positive times positive is positive. 4 times 8 is 32. And I only have one a, so just bring it down. And for the last term, so that it doesn't get as messy, I just go below. But you can still do it over here. Negative times positive is negative. And since I don't have any a's in here, I only have a square. That's going to be with the a square. I'm going to arrange it right here. So again, negative times positive is negative. 5 times 7 is 35. And just bring down the a square. Negative times negative is positive. 5 times 5 is 25. And I only have one a. Finally, negative times positive is negative. And 5 times 8 is 40. Now that I multiply all 3 terms of the first polynomial or trinomial, then I can add. This one, you just bring it down. 42a to the 4th. For this one, you have a negative and a positive, so you subtract and leave the greater sign. So it's negative. 30 minus 28 is 2. So negative 2 and a to the 3rd power. Now we're going to add the ones with the same sign first, and then we subtract the positive with the negative. Okay, so in here we have negative 20 and negative 35. That's negative 55. So I subtract, and that 55 is bigger, so the answer will be negative. So if it's negative 55, 55 minus 48, that's 7. And again, because the 55 was bigger, in negative, the answer will be negative. And just bring down the a square. These two are positive, so you just add them and keep it positive, and that's going to be 57a, and bring down the negative 40. What kind of polynomial do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a quantinomial. And what is the degree? The highest exponent, which is degree 4. Again, something that I want you to notice before we learn that in the closure property, it says that when you're adding, subtracting, or multiplying a polynomial, you end up with a polynomial. But one more thing is that in addition and subtraction, the coefficients change. But when you're adding, you notice that the variable and the exponent do not change. But when you're multiplying, see, we had square, but we end up with to the 4th power. So in multiplication, if you're multiplying two polynomials, you end up with a polynomial. However, in here, the coefficients change, the variables don't change, but the exponents do change. The next one, we're multiplying polynomials with fractions. This is a monomial and two binomials. And so I'm going to multiply this by both terms first. And so we get, remember that in multiplication of fractions, all you have to do is multiply straight. So 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, and then x squared times x squared is x to the 4th power. Positive times negative is negative. Oh, and in here, since we don't have to multiply straight, we put it over 1, and 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2, and x squared times no variable, so we just bring over the x squared. Now that we multiply the first two factors, we multiply the result by the third factor. And so we do the double distributive property. Again, multiply straight, so 1 times 2 is 2. 4 times 3 is 12. And x to the 4th times x is x to the 5th. Oops. So now this one is positive times negative is negative. 1 times 5 is 5. 4 times 6 is 24. And x to the 4th only, it's x to the 4th. Now the second term. Negative times positive is negative. 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. And x to the 2nd power times x is x cubed. Now this 2, negative times negative is positive. 3 times 5 is 15. 2 times 6 is 12. And x squared, we just bring it down. As you can see, all the exponents are different, so we don't have any like terms. However, what we can do is simplify each fraction. For example, the first one can be divided by 2. And so it will be 1/6 of x to the 5th. And here we cannot simplify anything, so it's just going to be negative 5/24 of x to the 4th. 6 divided by 6 is going to be negative 1 x to the 3rd, but we don't need to put the 1. And then these are both divisible by 3. And so it's going to be plus 15 divided by 3 is 5. 12 divided by 3 is 4. X to the 2nd power. Again, we ended up with a quadrinomial, degree 5. And with this, we end our lesson. If you can please give us a thumbs up, subscribe around here. This will be the link to the entire unit, and here you will find the next lesson. Now you're able to do 3.2 and have fun.